Welcome back to Pinecrest Park. Last time we built our very first pen zoo that it would be more functional and reasonable than the actual JWE3 pen zoo, which contains the Protoceratops, Dryosaurus, and Homocephaly species, which the guests are loving, which are VIP groups from Jurassic World that they got an exclusive experience to do it before the main lion people actually could come over. Now, today's project will be different. It will contain a land enclosure and aviary. But before we do that, we have very, very exciting news for one of these species in the pen zoo, and that is the Homocephaly. One of the Homocephaly females has laid eggs way before that we will actually start this process. Now, this is very exciting news, as the Homocephaly will be the main one that we will start off instead of the plane, starting off with the Stachosaurus. Now, we've also realized some dinosaurs won't actually lay the eggs since of their enclosure, which we will think about. The land species for today's project will be the carnivorous Metriacanthosaurus. Now, the Metriacanthosaurus is a medium-sized carnivore that lived in the late Jurassic period, and it also seems like it was cohabitable with the allosaurs and scavengers. Now, as you can see, Metriacanthosaurus is also kind of a solitary animal, only need one member, which we will use. And when we actually doing this building, we actually accidentally put a nest, so we destroyed it. And as you can see, the Metriacanthosaurus needs similar needs to the Ceratosaurus. So it's best that we actually get on starting building for this beneficent species that's actually pretty popular and was wanting to have it in Jurassic World, but there was a restriction where we put Carnivores instead of Metriacanthosaurus. So it gets right on to building the Metriacanthosaurus enclosure, which is probably our most unique one yet. Now, obviously, to start off the enclosure is we have to get a certain pathing. Now, since we're only building for a single Metriacanthosaurus, we didn't have to make such a large pathing for this dinosaur. But what makes this unique is that we are going to make it go underground. So we made a little tunnel to make sure that we can get like all the ground good and not too far down, or far down enough where the Metriacanthosaurus has no way to escaping its enclosure. But we did have to level the ground with the pathing so our guest doesn't fall down into the hole where the Metriacanthosaurus will be living. And like I said millions of times before, no one wants a lawsuit here. No one. It would destroy Pinecrest Park. But with the hill being basically the barrier, we be safe from the Metriacanthosaurus trying to attack anyone in sight. But after we got the leveling all figured out, we then got rid of the rocks of the hill. That way the Metriacanthosaurus will have more space. Even though the hill will not be able to be traversed for the Tyrannosaurus. But we also have to make more room by getting rid of the rocks. So then we dug more from the ground, but not so where path will be going into the hole. And now we have a purpose place. Then we place some dirt around it. Now it could seem like a crater went down into it and not man-made. And we place the water source for the dinosaur. Then we put rocks around the hole or crater to give more structure and to also keep preventing the Tyrannosaurus and the gas from entering each other's places. Now we place another layer of rocks to keep the gas, and then we should have done this a long time ago. It's when we first started this park, which thank goodness it did not bring any mistakes to us, because it would have ended so much opportunities. But before I say that, we place the viewing for the Tyrannosaurus, which we made this cabin be transported to the viewing dome. Now, what we should have done a long time ago, before this, is something that is key for security. That's the security cameras. We made sure to put security cameras all throughout the park, which we should have done this every single time we build something. But better late than never, and thank goodness there has been casualties with this. We should place it where the cameras could see all viewing galleries and enclosures and guest facilities, so that there will be no accidents or casualties within the park system, which will include dinosaurs trampling over guests, hurting himself by touching an electric fence, dinosaurs eating our guests, and also we don't want that to happen. So yeah, we should have done this a long time ago, but at least we are finally placing these cameras around. And these cameras were blueprints from Jurassic World that we decided to use. And we also made sure that the security camera panel was not or away from access of guests, so we don't have a kid messing with the cameras or anything, because that would not be good. Then we went back to the enclosure and started placing forests. We then also destroyed the nests as we had no suit for it no longer. And then placed some pasture around, and then went back and placed more forest to give the enclosure more life. And we also added some rocks that came with the trees, which was not intended, but it worked for this enclosure. Then we placed some flowers in some of the spots. Then we had to place the goat feeder, which was absolutely needed for the enclosure. Then we placed more floors back, and then we finally got it. The Tyrannosaurus already transported, and he seems to very like his habitat. That's a good thing. Now, he'll be solitary, so we will make sure to keep an eye on him on his aggression level. Because if aggression gets too high, he might attack the viewing dome, which we hope that doesn't happen as we put traits in that make him not as aggressive. Now, we should get going to building the Avariy. We made this a decent sized aviary with 2 viewing galleries, that way you guys can see the pterosaur that we picked. Then we placed the pathing down to get our guests to there. Also to place some amenities like food and drink amenities around here. We put 2 drink and 2 food amenities with, obviously, you would need a restaurant, because we don't want our guests having to run to outside of park to, Then we start to fill in the pathing for this little guest section outside of the aviary. Make sure to get every single spot that have path of it, except for some place where we put statues and foliage around. One of them was a duplicate of the Sexor statue, where we place a very flourish amount of plants to give more vibrant look. That way also the statue would stand out. We place some low level bushes and grasses with some flowers to give vibrant. Then we place some old bush plants and rocks at this Indominus Rex skeleton, which was from the Indominus Rex assembling, because the sibling ate the other one. Then we place some very good bush foliage around and the next one, which was more flourished than others, since this one didn't have any statue or anything. It was just plain old foliage and trees, and we made sure to cover all of it up. We made sure to pick 2 different trees. Then we fill in the gaps between the viewing domes with this like foliage to show that the pterosaurs would be mostly going to water and not land. Now, outside aviary is complete. But now, what pterosaur are we even gonna put in this aviary? Well, may I present to you our first and sadly only pterosaur will be in Pinecrest Park, and that is the Pteranodon. The Pteranodon is a pterosaur from late Cretaceous period. As you can see, it doesn't really need any cover, but we'll give a cover just to make sure it's not as skittish. And as you can see, it needs barren pasture, water, and lots of fish. So that's what we're gonna do. And since it does have cohabitation use, but we won't use that since we're gonna have 6 pteranodons in this aviary, which we discovered that is a fair amount. Also modified the pteranodons as well to give them more bigger stature, but we made them less aggressive. So what are we going to do now is start building an aviary, and also making sure it is very perfect for this pteranodon group. We first place the water source for the pteranodons where their fish feeder will be placed at, which when we place one, then we place some sand and rock around the aviary, specifically sand around the water, and then we place the rock around the edge of the aviary and the hill that we built. And then we place some foliage around the aviary, including the trees, very near the hill, and in an empty area of the aviary. And then we place rocks right near the water source for the pteranodons to land on. We finally made the genetic modifications to give the pterosaur standard feet to actually land on the ground and actually walk around on it. And when we finally finished the rocks, we completed the aviary. Now it is time to bring our random friends into this aviary for our guests and staff to see, and also to make sure it is top notch for our random little friends who are modified, and they will probably look like the JP3 Pterranodons.
Incubation complete. Prepare asset for release. Synthesis personnel, please stand by.
Strictly speaking, the Pteranodon isn't actually...
And there we have it. Our Pteranodon group of 2 males and 6 females are here. Now we place their nests near the empty area where the trees are at. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pinecrest Park. And if you have the name of Metricosaurs or Pteranodons and other species, just let us know down in the comments.